everybody. I'm Jillian Christine. I'm back again this week with another great topic all about, are you and your spouse, your partner, tired of being roomies? You have been in the relationship for a bit. You've moved past this great honeymoon stage, and here you are. All of a sudden, it feels like you and either your spouse or the partner that you're in relationship with are all of a sudden glorified roommates. And the spark is gone, the excitement is gone, and you're getting up every single day and it just feels like there's nothing there. So what do? How do you move past this, and what can you do to reignite that spark? Well, I'm going to be a little transparent here and say that I have experienced this in my relationships. I've experienced this, and sometimes it gets really frustrating, and you are in this space of like, what happened? Where did the love go? What's going on here? What do we do about this? And I think sometimes when you're in the midst of whether you've got children in the mix and you're raising kids, and all of a sudden you're thinking, well, this is just the way life is, this is what it is, and it's time to focus on the kids and everything else, and the relationship gets put either on the back burner or kind of stuffed in a box and packed off to, your storage facility. And the next thing you know, you and your partner are either going at it like this, or there's just nothing there. And you're like, what happened? It feels like the relationship and the love that you had and the intimacy and the closeness and everything that was there is all of a sudden on the back burner, not existing, up in the attic, down in the basement, off to the storage facility. And you're like, wow, I thought that this was the person that I would spend the rest of my life with. And here we are, we're in this space, and what do? And I think all too often, we are the first ones to say, well, this is just not the person for me. Gotta go. You gotta go, or I gotta go, or we gotta get out of this. And oftentimes what happens is you leave the relationship from a space of anger, frustration, all of this, and we don't even look at what could be happening. So I want to talk about a little bit about this and how to approach this and what you can do. When this has happened to me previously in my relationships, I of course, it was like, oh, it's not me. It's my partner. They've changed. It's definitely not me, and we're so quick to blame the person that we're in relationship with, rather than starting with our own self and saying, okay, what is happening? What have I lost? What part of me have I lost that I'm not coming to this relationship with the same vitality and excitement that I was when we first started this relationship off of? What happened? What is my responsibility in this? Because when you start to look within and go within you, what you're going to see is maybe a pattern going on over the course of your relationships where this has happened again and again and again. And you've ended relationships for the same reason, because you just felt like everything fizzled out. And I think also, where is it in our bringing up, or, our families and whatnot, where we've been taught how to be in relationship with, in a romantic relationship. And honestly, this can even apply to, to friendships, things like that. But today we're, for the purposes of this, we're talking about relationships. We are not really taught how to be in relationship with somebody else. And I think all too often what happens is we get this thing of, well, how do I do this? What do I do next? And sometimes we don't know where to turn to look for support on this. Well, let me tell you, I want to share a little bit about my journey here. I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable. I hope you all don't mind, because I want to kind of make a point for you. So I experienced this, and I've experienced this in previous relationships. And I got to a point where I thought, okay, what is happening? Why is this continuing? Why is this coming up for me again and again and again? And I started doing research. And I started looking at how I was responsible in this and how I was showing up in my relationships and what wasn't happening, what I wasn't doing for my partner. And when I started to look at that and started to get out of my own way and work at me and be open with my partner, all of a sudden things started to shift. And then I invited my partner to do this as well and look at this and how is it that you haven't been showing up in this relationship. And granted, you both have to be open to this. This cannot be just one person saying, well, I'm looking at me and you're not looking at you. It's not about that. This is not about a blaming thing. This is about responsibility. As you become, mature, this is about responsibility in the relationship. Because here's the thing. If this is happening in your relationship and you say, this was not the relationship for me, you got to go. I'm just going to find somebody else. I'm going to start over fresh. Guess what? It's going to continue to show up in relationship after relationship after relationship after relationship, unless you start to go deep and dig into what it is that's happening and what you're not bringing to the relationship. And I'm not saying this is a fault or anything else, and I don't want you to take any of this way. It's not about being anybody's fault. It's about stepping in and being responsible in the relationship and saying, how are we as a couple, as a unit, not bringing our full selves to this relationship? How have we fallen off from that? How do we get that spark back? How do we reconnect in that way? And can we take the things that all of a sudden are maybe we're fighting about, that maybe we're disagreeing about, can we take those things and kind of put those off on the side for a little bit and strengthen the relationship and strengthen what we have as we move forward? And then maybe we can look at, some of these issues when we're in a better, stronger space for this. Thank you, Nancy. I love you, girl. And so this is all about deciding to take personal responsibility. So what happens when you take personal responsibility? Well, it means taking a look into your past. And what are the things? And here's the thing, and this is why I say I don't want you to blame, because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And for me personally, I didn't have a strong example for me growing up as to how to be in relationship. My parents had divorced when I was young. My mom had struggled in relationship because she struggled with who she was, and she didn't know what she didn't know. So it's not really her fault either. So it's about letting go of this piece that it has to be somebody's fault, and instead being able to say, well, I just didn't know what I didn't know, but what can I know now that I can do better? What can I do that I can show up better for my partner in this space? What are some of the things that I can do to be that and be strong and be loving and be communicative in this relationship with my partner? And here's the thing I'm going to tell you. If you think that just because things are getting difficult, that you can't work through the pieces, it's not true. It's not true, because if you resolve what's happening in the current relationship that you're in, you started being with that person for a reason. There was something there that attracted you into that person. Now, granted, and I want to say this, like, if you're in an abusive relationship and whatnot, no, this would not probably be your best bet. Then you need to first of all, you need to get some help. But for a relationship where it's just common and you're not getting along and things like that, it's about saying, okay, what did I see in this person, from the get-go? What was it? And how do we need to reconnect and get back to that? How can we get back to that, what we had? And the thing of it is I think we often all too often assume that when we're in relationship, that just because the love is there, Things should be easy. Things should flow smoothly. It should always be that honeymoon thing, and everything should be hearts and flowers and rainbows and everything else. And the reality is that relationships take work. It's no different than raising your children. It's like it takes work. It takes effort. You have to want to work at it, both you and your partner. Now, can you start the work yourself individually on your own? Yes, you absolutely can. You 100% can start the work for yourself, even if your partner is not willing to do the work at first. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to start to do your work. And all of a sudden, your partner's going to start to notice some change in you. And wow, what's going on? What is happening with my partner? Wow, this is really nice. And you would be amazed at what will happen, the changes that will happen. Then all of a sudden, that other partner comes on board and says, I want to work at this. I want to make this work. I want this to be successful. When you can do that, when you can come to the table, both of you, with this thing of, okay, we didn't know what we didn't know, and let's figure this out. Let's try and work at this. Let's try and make this successful. Let's bring the communication back. Let's bring the spark back. Let's find that love again that we had, that brought us together in the first place, and work on that. So what are some of the things that you can do to start to work at this? Well, one of the things I would say to you is, how well do you know your partner? How well do you know them? You know, a lot of times, especially for women, you know, we want to know everything. We ask the questions. We want to know everything. So we'll ask all those, you know, what's your favorite color? What is your favorite food? You know, all of those things. But men don't typically ask those questions of us. They don't. They just kind of want to smooth sail along and really not be worried about that. And so it's about encouraging, and this is about both of you being open to this process. But you know, take some time to get to know each other. And one of the things I will tell you that is a regular part of my time now with my partner is regular date nights. And that date night, there are specific things that we do for that date night. Date night is not about us looking forward like this, like you're sitting in a car, but date night is facing each other. It's looking at each other, connecting eye to eye, being able to connect in and actually talk. So it's not about doing an activity where you're distracted, but it's about sitting down and connected. So one of our favorite things to do is we will go and we'll grab a coffee and we'll walk on the beach. And that way we're able to connect with each other. Hey, Eva, hey. We're able to connect with each other, have deep conversation. There's no distraction. There's no cell phones. No cell phones are allowed when we're having a date. And it's our time to really connect and talk about, you know, how things are, how we're feeling about each other, and get to know each other. And when we struggle with what to talk about, what we'll do, I know, Eva, I hope you do see you are in there. What we do is when we're struggling for conversation, we have a book. We have this cute little book. It's only about this big. I should have brought it onto this Facebook Live, but I'll post it below here. But it's a book that allows us to go in and ask questions. So we can find one question and discuss a question and go deeper with it between each other, because oftentimes we don't know what to ask each other. You know, you spend so much time together, you don't necessarily know what to ask each other. And so we'll do that, and we'll ask each other questions. Now, in addition to date night, we'll do other things. We'll have other conversations. So every single day, it's about, you know, one conversation that allows us to really connect and see each other. And these are short conversations. These are not long, drawn-out conversations. These are short little conversations where we can say, you know what, I really appreciate you. I really love the fact that when you do this for me, this is the way this makes me feel. And so it's giving that appreciation. It's speaking to that space with everyone, with each of us. And so we do that where we're connecting, and then we're having another conversation that talks about like the logistics of the relationship and what do we need to do to grow the relationship. So we have these specific conversations that keep us connected and get us knowing more about each other. Thank you, Eva. And it's really about taking the time and being consistent with this. Small actions compounded daily are what makes the love reignite and fans the flames, and it helps you to have that deep connected relationship. And I'm going to tell you right now that when you have that deep connected relationship, everything else in your life also starts to fall in place for you. Suddenly you're on the same page about so many more things than what you were when you had this thought of, well, maybe it's just time to end the relationship. And then suddenly the issues and the problems that come up, you can be talking about those and resolving those together, working as a team. Because when it's just one person who's driving the household, one person who's making all the decisions, one person who's doing all the things, you're not working as a team. You're not in relationship together. It's just one person who's running the relationship and kind of dragging the other person along. And when you get to be that person who's doing all that work and driving the relationship, oftentimes what happens is you get frustrated, you get resentful, you get exhausted, and sometimes you're the one that's feeling like, I'm not so connected with this person anymore. And so when you start to connect and talk, and yeah, right, Eva, that level of control it's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting, and is what will, it's disease. It's what will cause, the relationship to break up, you to become ill, all those things. But when the two of you are sharing the load and getting the flow going, all of a sudden you're going to find that all these things that felt like big problems before are suddenly not such big problems. All of a sudden, they're like, wow, you know what? We can easily resolve this. We'll just do this and this, and you talk about it, and it's done. It's just done. It's resolved. It's like not that big of a deal. Whereas previously, it might have been something that you might have fought for over an hour on, and it's just done. And so you'll find that all of a sudden you're at this calmer space. The emotions aren't going up and down and up and down and up and down. And all of a sudden that love is coming back, and you're connecting, and you're holding hands again, and you're kissing often, and you're just feeling so much more connected to your partner. And this is the way it is. But this is something that has to continue. It's work that must go on throughout the relationship. You can't just assume that once it comes back, it will stay. It's a matter of working at this. So, just a couple things. I just want to refresh those tips that I just gave you. Having a regular date night where you're looking at each other, not looking like this. So, not going to the movies, not doing the things where you're, separate, not able to connect, but, looking at each other. And that's why one of our favorite things is grabbing a coffee. And it's really simple. I mean, it's not expensive. It's cheap. What's a cup of coffee, And connecting, truly connecting with each other. And then having those simple conversations throughout the day, appreciating each other, talking about the logistics of your relationship, and just being able to connect. And here's the thing I would encourage you. If there's a lot of things that you don't know about your partner, ask the questions. Find out. And if you have a hard time remembering, write it down. Write it down so that you know all the things about your partner, because this is somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with. So get to know it, write it down. Be present with them when they're telling you, so you actually can take it in. And this is part of the reason why I say on date night, no phones. Be completely present. You will survive without your phone for a couple hours spending time with your partner. You truly will. So if you want to know more, if you'd like more information, if you want to be, if you're struggling in your relationships and you want more connection with this, you want to know more, please feel free to come on over. I've got a free group, the Wholehearted No Connection, teaching all about ways to start putting healthy boundaries into your life that will improve your relationships in all ways, especially your romantic relationship with your partner. But come on over to that group. I'd love to have you there. We are posting regularly in that group, lots of great information, and we're going to be starting to do regular specific lives in there just to talk about certain topics, so you get the benefits of being in there. But come on over, Wholehearted No Revolution. I'll put the link below this video. And if you're struggling in relationship, if you want some tips, if you're looking for somebody that can help you through and navigate through the struggles of your relationship, you know, I invite you to come get to know me a little bit more. I do coach on this, and I coach couples with boundaries. And we're going to be starting up a new program very soon. It's a very specific 8-week program, so I look forward to telling you more about that as that's coming to light. And come back and get more tips and tricks, and I will be sharing a lot more things with you. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if there's anything that you'd like to know specifically, feel free to leave your questions and comments below this video, and I will be happy to get back with you on that.